down and still get your guy later. So we'll see.
So, I think I walked up on you. You were talking about Alt. How you see things playing out for Tennessee at 7?
Yeah, I kind of talked about it a little bit. According to my mock, which you know, Jim, is going to be the mock, of course. Like I know, right? According to my mock, the Chargers took him at 5. So then I had him going with J.C. Latham at 7. But I think Moran Carthon is going to probably take a look and say, anybody else interested? And maybe move back and accumulate, if indeed Alt goes. Now, if Alt doesn't go, you snatch him. But here's the wild card. If Neighbors or Dunzes is there at 7, I do think that you might abandon the tackle then and go get one of those playmakers.
Why
If it ends up being Latham, what would you think if it ends up being Latham?
I like him a bunch. Big, strong, physical kid. Has only played on the right side, but I don't think that's a detriment these days. And I did a little bit of homework, Jim. The guy coaching your offensive line, some guy named Bill Callahan, he was in Cleveland. Cleveland drafted Jedrick Wills out of Alabama, who played what position in college? Right tackle. Where do you get moved to with Cleveland? Left tackle. Who coached him? Bill Callahan. Where's Bill now? Oh, okay, Tennessee. I'm going to try and connect a couple of dots on that.
Why do you like Odunze so much?
I like him because of his competitive spirit. I like him because of his ability to run routes with a really crisp flair to it. I like his ability to go up and win what we call combat balls or 50-50 balls, or as Jim Mora told me many years ago, moment of truth balls. He'll go up and go get them. 50-50 for him is more like 80-20. He's going to go snatch the football. There's an innate toughness to him. You know about the rib injury, the lung injury, and he couldn't fly, so they had to drive him back home, had an open week the next week, and then he played the week after that. College kid who knows he's going to get drafted. A lot of them are going to tap and not do it at that point, that way. Did you see him at the combine? He's still trying to get the 3-cone down for the time he wants. Right? We turned the lights out on it, and he still goes. I just think he's really good hands. I think he's going to be a guy who's going to be a starter for 10, 12 years right out of the gate, and maybe even a star.
You talked about sitting in the old Tiger Stadium.
Yes.
What do you think about the changes in Detroit, and what have you seen? What have you noticed?
Love everything about it. I love each time I came here when I was working for a different network before I went to CBS. I used to come in here a lot and watch the changes happen. Watch Ford Field come into play, right? Watch, what's the name of the new basketball arena? Little Caesars come into play now. So the basketball team comes back in. Because at one point I was doing sideline for TNT when the Pistons were the Pistons.
Right.
And we were at the Palace in Auburn Hills, and I was staying in Birmingham. Now we stay downtown. We didn't do that before. Right. So you see that change happen, you know? Shanola with the watches, everything that is happening here I love. But the idea that I'm sitting in Tiger Stadium, where I came for a family reunion when I was 7 years old, and watch Al Kaline and the Tigers from these stands when the Orioles came to town with Brooks Robinson and crew. It's the first time I've been at Tiger Stadium since then. Right. I got a little tingle going. And the history, where's Alex Karras? Where's Roger Brown? Where's Dick LeBeau, you know?
Right.
I want to see those guys out there thundering on this field. It's kind of cool.
Charles, how do you stack the corners, and do you think there'll be one that fits the Jaguars' new defensive coordinator at 17?
Yeah, you know, stacking's been a little hard for me because I think a lot of them are so good. I'm not as smart as that. But I think at that point, Terrion Arnold might be available. I think Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo might be available. Cooper DeJean will be available, but I think a lot of people see him more as a hybrid than they do see him as a pure corner, and that'll be interesting to see what happens. I think Arnold went in my last mock draft, and he fits really well because he's a pro's pro. Look, if you play Alabama, the head coach spends more time in your practice area than anywhere else, and that was Nick Saban, and he coaches them up hard, and they learn pro technique, they learn pro terminology, and they learn pro toughness. And I really like that about Arnold.
Thought on the pass rushers, the edges, the Jaguars still looking for some help there.
Yeah.
Latu verse, how do you see that position coming down?
Yeah, I think Latu's the best pure pass rusher out of the three. I think he's got the most tools in his bag, the most clubs. I do think that Verse is much more of a power pass rusher, but boy, he gives you great effort. He'll throw 1 move, 2 moves, 3 moves to try and get to the quarterback. And Dallas Turner kind of gives you that full combination plate. And by the way, where did he go? That's right, Alabama. I think he's well coached.
Thoughts on running back class?
Sorry?
Thoughts on the running back class and who sticks out to you?
Yeah, it's funny. We always want to devalue it, right? Running backs, whatever. But Super Bowl, how did Kansas City get there? Isaiah Pacheco. How did San Francisco get there? Big move for Christian McCaffrey. We always devalue it until we need it. And we need it playoff time. We need it when the weather's like this. We need all that. The Jonathan Brooks kid intrigues me out of Texas coming off the ACL because he has a lot of tread on his tire. Remember, he sat behind Roshan Johnson and Bijan Robinson. So this was his first. He has 8 career starts. All of them came this year before he hurt his knee. He didn't have them before. Plenty of tread left on the tire. I like his running style. Good player. Trey Benson, injury up at Oregon. Came to Florida State because he knew the head coach Mike Norvell had recruited him at Memphis State. Gave him the opportunity. Kind of see some Breece Hall in him a little bit. Patience and goes. I think he's a bit of a dart that way. Marshawn Lloyd from USC, more of a power guy. Run inside the tackles, thumpy a little bit. I'm trying to think of who else I like. Jalen Wright out of Tennessee. Another guy with a ton of tread on his tire. 197 carries last year, averaged over 7 yards a carry. All right. Now, some of it is offense, how they spread it out, how fast they go, finding the gaps. But if he's going to get a Kamara comparison, same thing. A lot left out there. And I love those running backs whose odometer didn't turn over 15 times while they were in college. Will Shipley, I really like, out of Clemson. All-around back, catch the ball. He's going to have to be protected a little bit more than he had. But they've had him in scat protection, get out, catch the football, run it in tackles, run to the perimeter. But you know what else with Will Shipley? He's played 3-4 years of hard football. A lot of carries, a lot of touches. It's a little bit different from the guys that have that extra on their tire right now. Those are just a few of the guys. We could go on. I think it's a good running back class. But because there's a chance no one goes in the first round, we don't think it's as good a running back class. Does that make sense?
You were talking about the butterfly effect earlier with the tackles.
With every pick.
Now, everybody's looking, the quarterback's going early, maybe possibly moving up for J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
Do you see, let's say Denver and the Vegas Raiders, they're not going to probably have that chance to get McCarthy, especially if Minnesota jumps up. So do you see them possibly moving back then in the draft, or maybe moving up from the second round into the back end to kind of secure maybe Penix or Nix?
Always a possibility, but I don't know if they can move too far to secure Penix and Nix, because if those guys go 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say someone jumps up there at 4, they go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a whole different ball game now, because now you're down to the last 2 beautiful people in show. And how long are you going to wait? Now, what's always interesting to me is we come into this draft, we think this is going to happen. Oh, there's only 2 left. Here's going to be this mad rush. Remember last year, by the time we got to Kansas City, Will Levis was going in the top 5, top 10, no less, and he got the phone call back home the next day. Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, who's going to be? Pickett went at 21, 22, whatever the number was. The next name was called in the 3rd round. So how much do we know? So what I'm saying is every time we so-called evaluators get full of ourselves, we probably need a little check ourselves, get a little history lesson. The league always knows more than we do. We thought Geno Smith was a lock first rounder. He came back the next day in a sweater and took his medicine and went across the stage. So you just don't know how it goes. But I do think if the first 4 go, it creates a little more urgency up top. And I don't think that they can trade back if indeed they want a quarterback.
So
Appreciate it, CD.
What do you think of just what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have built here in Detroit?
I think the world of it. I absolutely do, because they had a vision about how they wanted to get there. And I remember being a kid and being told, you don't really know who you are and what you do as a head coach, administrator, or whatever for 3 to 5 years. You think you do. You come in with ideas. These are my rules, and here's how I'm going to run things. And guess what? You don't always do it. Then you find out this doesn't apply to you, this does. So you change as you go. These guys had a clear vision right from the beginning. And I'm sure they've tweaked it a little bit. But guess what? That vision has been pretty consistent for them. And they built the team on that vision. They draft guys to that vision. And the guy that doesn't get enough credit, Brad and Dan deserve a ton, is Chris Spielman. Behind the scenes, not out there in front, but he was there before both of them. I think he's a big reason why both of them are there. And I think that troika is really strong.
How are you, man?
Armando, how you doing? It's good to see you.
You know that every year a quarterback gets talked down a little
Yes.
bit. And he mentioned Drake May.
Drake May, he's got beaten up more than anyone in this draft.
Why?
I'm not quite sure, but you're right, Armando. Every year someone's going to take the beating, right? This year it's him. 2-year starter. Redshirt sophomore. First year was really good. Offense coordinator changed. Offensive line changed. Excuse me, receivers changed. So now the structure of how he played the first year wasn't there. Had to play a little more hero ball. Has a big arm, so I think he forced a few things trying to make plays for his team. Defense wasn't as good. Witness, they replaced the defense coordinator after the year. So sometimes it changes a kid. And he became this year's guy that we could kind of go after and get. But Bucky Brooks, my colleague, former NFL scout, has told me, you grade the flashes. You ever seen his flashes? They're really good.
Yeah.
They're really, really good. And I know Josh Allen's his idol. And that's who he wants to be. I see Herbert right now, body type, way he slings it, movement. Can he be Josh Allen? We would all like to be. Josh is a force of nature. And when Josh Allen walks up on you, the first thing you say to yourself is that is a large human being. And Drake May's not a small human being. He's not filled out like that. Right. Not yet. We'll see how it goes. But by the way, if you're telling me I can't have Josh Allen, but I get Justin Herbert, I lose zero sleep. I'm happy. I'm really happy. I think Drake May's that guy. Yeah. Josh Allen is your power forward. Drake May's your stretch. Drake May's your stretch four. Justin Herbert's your stretch four. I'll take it. I'll take it. And I just think the kid. I think the kid is strong. I think there's a fortitude to him. The athletic part of the family doesn't hurt. We talk bloodlines. His dad was in school in North Carolina when I was in Tennessee, so I remember Mark May playing quarterback. And apparently he was a baseball guy too, threw his arm out. So you have that. All the rest of the Mays. This kid had to get beat up by the older brothers. He had to compete along the way. I have a feeling this beating on him right now will be a footnote later. I'm really strong on the kid. I thought hard about him going 3 to New England, but I think that if he goes to Minnesota, because I think that might be the landing spot, I think that's a match made in heaven with him and Kevin O'Connell. Thank you, sir. It's great to see you.
Hey, Charles, do you have any concerns about Caleb, whether that's off the field, on the field, any at all?
I'm old, so I have a vision of how my quarterback's supposed to act as an old guy. These are kids, and it's a new generation, and who am I? I don't get it. I don't understand all that. With social media, with how they deal with all things, these kids live their life on stage from the word go, and things that might embarrass me don't embarrass them. They see it as just Tuesday. I think the kid is stronger than that. I hear a lot of great stuff from the teammates and the coaches and the whole deal. He's not going to go at it like us old people are. I'm not going to grade him like an old person. I'm going to grade him like a young person. And I think that he's got the goods, the playing abilities without question. I don't think I have any real worries about the rest of it.
You mentioned Jonathan Brooks there. A lot of people linked him to the Cowboys because of his surgery. Do you think that's a fit?
I think it's a great fit, and I think the Cowboys at 24, center's a fit. I think I mocked Jackson Powers-Johnson there. Graham Barton could be in play there. That makes sense. But the Cowboys like star power, and if they don't wrestle the card out of Mr. Jerry Jones's hand, Johnny Manziel's a Cowboy. So remember that, okay? Brooks makes sense there, but it's not like Ezekiel Elliott when he came out and was number 4. Zeke was healthy, coming off the great run. This kid's not healthy. I thought about it. I don't know that that's the play for them right then and there, because if you don't get those guys, I wouldn't be surprised if they go other offensive line positions, because I know they want to keep Tyler Smith in at guard.
Is he there in the second to get him, or is he gone already?
I think it's going to be hard to get him in the second there. I think you have to make a move. Even coming off the ACL, going all the way back down there, that's going to be tough.
Well, Washington guard, Tony,
yeah, you talk about Fatano?
Yes. Do you think he can slip to later, or is he gone in the first 15?
I think he's so versatile and so good. Teams that believe in him at tackle will take him, and teams believe in him at guard will take him. I think I'm going to Seattle at 16 because he plugs in immediately at guard. Right. And by the way, his OC at Washington is now the offense coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, and his O-line coach at Washington is now the O-line coach for the Seahawks. Maybe? We'll see.
Appreciate you.
All right, thank you.